previous podcast, I discussed mental health issues and especially the idea of depression and what are the books you can read about it so that if you or anybody else you know in your life who is going through this or are concerned about this challenge can have a grip on the subject. And I also pointed out how meditation can be of great use here. In one of the earlier podcasts, I discussed with you some of the Buddhist meditation techniques, namely shamatha and vipassana. One of the most common techniques or meditation methods that people use these days is mindfulness. And there are a lot of courses available for that. You can even try certain apps such as the Calm app, the Mindfulness app, or the Waking Up app. By the way, there is also a book called Waking Up by Sam Harris, and the app is also by the same person. So basically you would find very much similar meditation methods and ideas in the app as well as the book. But it's worth a read, I would say. And in order to better understand the idea of mindfulness and find some really easy meditation practices, I've got another book for you. It's called Mindfulness on the Go. It's written by Jan Chozen Bays. It's very small and very easy methods have been taught in this book. So I'm going to share some of these methods with you, some of the basic ideas with you. And before we get into that, let's just try to understand what mindfulness really is. As the word suggests, it's all about being mindful, being aware, whatever that is happening around you. If you are listening to my voice, are you paying attention to it, or are you getting distracted? If you're looking around, are you paying careful attention to everything that you see, the colors, the shapes and the sizes, the objects, everything? If you feel a sensation in your skin, you're holding on to a surface, sitting on a bench, sitting on a chair, or lying on the bed, probably walking. Certainly at some point in your body, you feel some kind of tension. How do you feel that? Do you pay any attention to it? Or it's just something you completely ignore? And so goes about the smell. So the idea here is, in mindfulness, we are aware, we are constantly aware, we are in the present, and we work on our thoughts. We kind of separate our thoughts from ourselves. And just like you get different smells, different sensations, different sights and sounds, similarly you get different thoughts. So that's the idea, that you don't take your thoughts seriously, you don't get tangled up in your thoughts, and in fact you get out of them. But of course, it's a really slow process. You learn it step by step, but it's extremely rewarding, and one cannot stress enough about the usefulness of this method. A lot of times people think that mindfulness is something that they need to fit into in an already schedule or their lifestyle. But it's not that. Mindfulness is more about the kind of life you live and how you live. And you begin with very small area of your life. Let's say how you answer the phone. Let's say each time when the phone rings, you pause and you take long breaths before you pick it up. And you notice it. And you do this for a week or so, and then it becomes a habit. The habit of noticing things. Similarly, when you are eating something, how do you eat? Do you observe the sensations in your body when you eat? Do you observe its smell? And how well you observe its taste and what it does to your body? So eventually, through these practices, your whole body and your mind become extremely sensitive to whatever is happening in your body. And that's the primary idea. And that's, I think, very much primary idea of spirituality, that you get rooted, you connect with yourself. You don't get distracted, you don't seek entertainment elsewhere, or you don't get lost in thoughts somewhere else. You are there, whatever happening in front of you, wherever you are there. You're not lost, you're present, and you're living your life fully with a wonderful experience, whatever it is. It could be pain, it could be sadness, that is the emotion you're experiencing right now. But a lot of times we try to ignore these emotions and kind of run away from these in search of some entertainment, some amusement. And that is not really healthy. If there is pain, we must experience it. We must feel it. What is it doing to us? Where it is happening? Where exactly is it coming from? And when we do these exercises, particularly when we're going through stressful situations, there is some kind of worry in our head that is paining us. It really helps us in eradicating the whole problem. So the book, as I was talking about, Mindfulness on the Go, it's just the same thing. In fact, every mindfulness course would teach you the same thing, to be aware. Be aware of the sensations, and you start with the breath, because that is something which is always close to you, wherever you go, whatever you do. And you just sit anywhere, stand anywhere, wherever you are, you observe your breaths. That's how you begin. And you feel your breath completely. And that is just the starting point. As I said, the same thing you do with your eating. So when you're eating, just eat. Do not watch a video. Do not watch a TV show. Do not listen to a podcast. Just eat. Just eat. Engage yourself in it. Same goes about walking. When you're walking, just walk. Experience it. If it is painful, experience that. If you observe something, if you're looking around and observing something, notice those things, register them. Consciously remind yourself of those things, and then look around. Look around, see more, be aware. And same with the sounds. Especially when you're practicing these meditations in the initial stages, close your eyes and pay great attention to any kind of sound you hear, any minute sound. Can be noise, that's fine. Just focus. Become aware of sounds. And eventually, when you'll be aware of all these sensations, sights, sounds, and even thoughts, it wouldn't bother you as much. And you would feel very light. You would feel it's not a burden. These things are happening on their own. You don't have to do anything. You just have to notice. You just have to become an observer. And that's you. That's what you are. Observer. Most of the times, the thoughts that are occurring in our minds, all the sensations that are going on, neurons are firing from one place to another, all the brain activity, it's just happening on its own. We are not doing anything. Because of those firing of neurons, thoughts are coming up. And they come up, and then they go. And it's entirely up to us whether we want to hold on to those thoughts or not. Whether we want to let them go or not. It's our choice. So anything that happens, let's say you hear some abusive words, bad words, a noise which annoys you, or a sight which you find unpleasant, or a thought which really troubles your mind. They are happening on their own. You're not responsible for them. But you are responsible for your reaction to them. You can observe them, be amused by them, and then eventually let them go. It's completely fine. And as I said, you'd feel very light after this. So I would recommend you read this book, or in fact both books, if you can find time, and practice the mindfulness. And I hope it would make your life experience much better.